Hulk, you can hear me? Somebody let me know.
Do you hear it now?
Now we're good.
See?
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So, guys, thank you so much. It's technology. So, we just got to roll with the punches. Okay. If anyone on here is military affiliated or veteran, you already know we just adjust fire and we move on. And that's what we're doing. So, all right. All right. So, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Irami Kadar. I will be your host this evening. I have the pleasure of having my favorite NCO. She's retired now, Dr. Cynthia Maye here. And guys, Cynthia is really going to bless us, right? Because I know a lot of you guys are here because you don't know anyone who has, first off, built their house from the ground up. And then secondly, use their VA loan to do it. I just, I just don't, I know you don't know them. So let me make the introductions for you, okay? Um, Dr. May, her resume is so long, I can't even go through all of it right now, okay? She's just one of these super phenomenal women that she does it all. Okay. So she's got degrees after degrees. She's always bettering herself. She's always pushing herself. She always has at least 2 to 3 jobs. Right now, she only have one, so I'm very proud of her. Okay. um, so, with no further ado, Dr. Cynthia May, please welcome us and give tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, one thing I can tell you is this: is God gives everybody gifts, and so with that being said, I actually sometimes I know what my gifts is, and sometimes my gifts are very broad, and so that's why I'm always continuing to learn, because either you're learning or you're dying, and I'm not ready to die yet, so I'm actually continuing learning. And through this journey of building a house, I actually bought 2 houses. And we're going to talk about some things I would have done differently. We're going to talk about some things that if I could go back in time and do, I will. And one of the things about me is I'm always learning, but I'm always willing to share that information with other people. Because sometimes people get information and they keep it to themselves, but I'm not that person. Anything that you ask me, I'm open book. And once I learn something, I actually try to bless everybody that I come across that are veterans or their teachers, because right now I'm actually an instructional coach, and I've been teaching for 13 years. My passion is kids and getting kids to actually learn and giving them exposure to robotics, exposure to math and science in the real way. So then they can make a informed decision when they get ready to go to college and when they actually choose their majors. They actually know which realm they're going in. And I want to thank my friend Io here for inviting me to come and speak about this VA loan thing and some ins and outs that y'all should know.
Absolutely. So that's the thing, you guys. Some people, we just have callings in our lives, and one thing that Cynthia's been blessed with is the calling of educating others. And so, this is what we're here to do tonight. There's no selling, right? We're not gonna have a thing at the end where you got to sign up and I'm gonna spam you with a bunch of stuff. No, I've got a VA home loan buying guide. If you've never been through the process, just to kind of help guide you through the process. But no selling here, no course for you to buy. Okay, at the end of it, we're just sharing information because honestly, if there are things that if I had known, I would have done things differently with my VA benefits, and if Cynthia had known. So we are just really here to edify you on things that you may or may not know about. But I promise you one thing: when you leave tonight, because we're gonna hit y'all hard for the next 25 minutes. When you leave tonight, you're going to learn something. You're going to take something away. There's going to be something that you didn't know that you're going to walk away with. I promise you. Okay. I promise you. Because every time I talk to Cynthia, and I talk to her often, it's something that I didn't know. Okay. So let's get right into it. First, it's just the journey. How many homes you mentioned already? You purchased 2 homes. So how many
Mhm.
homes have you purchased using your VA loan, and what made you want to buy land and build it this time?
The first house I built was in Kentucky, and the reason why I built that house is because I wanted stability. If I would have known differently, I would have bought houses every duty station that I went to, because every 3 years I was actually moving to a different place, and I didn't understand how the VA loan worked, and I didn't understand that I could buy additional houses. So, and it depends on what the limit is. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I actually researched all the different states before I got out of the military because I had two choices, either Florida or Texas, because they actually had the maximum amount of loans to actually you can borrow from. So make sure you research that because I didn't know that at first. So when I bought the house in Kentucky, I was looking for stability for my daughter because she was getting ready to graduate high school in about 4 or 5 years, and I was like, I want somewhere that's stable for her, somewhere I can actually grow into, and she can actually go off to college. Well, once I got to that town, and I was like, okay, I like this house, I do, but I want more land because then I wanted to actually plant, have a garden. I actually wanted to have a pool because I had some veteran injuries that didn't allow me to run anymore. So I wanted the pool to be able to do most of those exercises in. So I said, okay, I need to go somewhere and I need to find somewhere, find some land so I can actually build on that land and have enough room for a pool and also have some room to actually plant a garden. And so that's why then I built the house there.
Got it. Which makes sense, right? I mean, you got to do
Mhm.
things for what fits your needs. So the a very important point there, guys, is to do it again. Every duty station, buy a house.
Mhm.
Buy a house. You're gonna be there for 3 years. You're gonna gain equity. If the equity is not where you need to be when it's time for you to PCS, rent it out. Rent the house
Mhm.
out. When you get to your next duty station, buy another house. Okay. All they're going to ask you for is documentation. If they do, they'll ask you for documentation that you have that house rented out, and that will go towards your income, right? So
Mhm.
you'll be able to finance the next house. So, very important point there. Now, Cynthia, why did you choose the VA loan over the other types of loans? Because you mentioned you did some research about your state that you were going to. What made you choose that loan type?
Well, the VA loan actually secures a portion of your loan in case you default on the loan. That was one. And two, no down payment. Because if I could actually do a loan with no down payment and use that money to actually furnish the home or buy other things that I need, because when you buy a house, you're gonna need some things that you didn't realize that you needed. And one thing you live in a house, you can rent it out and then get another house. But one of the things I tell people all the time, I chose VA loan for that. And then there are certain restrictions that those builders have on that house that they have to pass through VA restrictions before they actually approve it. So that gives you kind of like that safety net that people can't get over on you as far as making sure that the inspection is done, you don't have a down payment, as well as you have that protection from the VA, even if you default on that loan. We don't want to default, but if in case you just still have that security.
Absolutely. So the no down payment. I mean, that's it in a
Mhm.
nutshell. When you guys, if you have these benefits and you're sitting here and you're thinking, do I want to put 10 to 20% down, or do I want to
Mhm.
put zero down? I mean, it's a no-brainer. As far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, it's a no-brainer. It's a benefit that you earned, right? You earned these benefits. You served your country, and now it's time for your country to help you out. And how one of the ways is by giving us no down payment so you can get in and build that equity and build your legacy, right? For generational wealth. So that leads us into the process of building a custom home using the VA loan. So, how did you start the process? Did you find the land, buy the land? Like, talk us through how it was when you purchased your
Well, the
custom
first
home.
the first thing I did was looked at my credit score. And so I looked at the interest rate and what it was in the market right now. So I wanted my credit score at a certain level first. I said, okay, I want my credit. So I was working on that while I was looking. The next thing, I got a good realtor. Now, I was talking to a realtor at one point and I was saying, hey, I want a big backyard. And then she showed me this one place that I can stand on the porch and touch the fence. I said, okay, she's not listening. So I got rid of her, and then I found this guy that I could talk to him on the phone for about 15 minutes. He knew exactly what I wanted, and he brought me right to this place that was actually selling acre lots.
Mm.
Now, even though they were selling acre lots, I actually bought 1.4 acres.
Mm.
And so the 1.4 acres actually allowed me to get everything that I actually wanted. So first of all, you have to find a good realtor. Then I worked on my credit score. And once I did that, I actually looked at the community. I looked at, are they because some of the houses were already kind of built out
Mhm.
towards this way. So I looked at that as well. I actually came in the morning time to see who was out. I came in the midday to see what kids were out during the summertime, and then I came in kind of late at night because you come there and what you're looking for is what kind of neighborhood am I moving into? What are the people like? And so that actually gave me some guidance on what I wanted to do.
Yes, I love that. And guys, I actually got that from Cynthia when she was buying that property in Kentucky. She was like, "I got to go buy this house," and I'm like, "What you gonna buy the house for? Didn't you already see it?" Because she had seen it a couple times, and she was like, "No, I just got to check it out because it's raining." And she was serious
Hmm.
because she wanted to go see, if make sure things was flowing right. It wasn't any water pooling anywhere before she purchased, right? So that's the same things that is when I tell you that's a wonderful nugget. You need go drive by that property. And you're if you're out of state, that's even more so why you need to work with a good realtor because they know the area,
Hmm.
right? Legally, I can't tell you um that might not be the safest community, right? I can't say that to you
Hmm.
legally, but I would encourage you, you might want to drive around at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You
Hmm.
might want to drive during the day and see, are there people just sitting outside, lounging around, or people at work, right?
Hmm.
Because you want to be in a community and not to say people don't work from home, but you guys understand what I'm saying, right? We just want to make sure that our neighbors, when because you're purchasing a property, and this is a big investment, so these are things to consider, right?
And one of the things I owe with the VA loan also, they make sure that you're not building in a floodplain because they won't approve it. So they make sure all that stuff is there. So the VA actually does their work behind the scenes for you to make sure that you're not moving in a bad area like that. But you're right. When it rains, I came out here. When it was dry, I came out here. I came out here. I actually sat down and watched all the traffic on the main road to see what the traffic was like. So yeah, you have to do those things in order to have an informed decision on where you're moving.
That's right. And you definitely want to be informed because this is your property, right?
Hmm.
So you already mentioned, so the realtor already took you out to a site where there was already a builder that he was comfortable with, because that's another thing. You want to make sure you're using a good builder, right? So it was a reputable builder and took you through the process. You picked your lot, you got a little bit of extra land on there because that's what you were looking for in your
Hmm.
home. What advice do you have to veterans who want to build instead of buying a resale house?
Well, one of the things you have to do is you have to also for the VA, you have to look for somebody who actually do construction loans because you just can't go to any bank and get a loan to build a house. They have to do a construction loan. That builder has to also be able to do a construction loan with the VA.
Mhm.
So you have to also do that as well. Now, one of the things I do have to say that when I had the 1.4 acres, because they have another plot down the street that you can buy whatever you want, 2 acres, 4 acres, and
Mhm.
then they have different builders, but that builder still has to be able to do a VA construction loan.
Mm.
Now, when you buy that land, whatever amount that is, they give you a year to build your house. And so the builder that I picked had to be able to build this house within a year. If they couldn't, because you can't just buy the land and then hold on to it for a long time,
Just
they
whenever.
had to be able to, yeah, to build it within the year, or you can't get the loan as well. So those are the things I actually kind of looked at in building the house and finding the realtor. There had to be a construction loan. They had to be able to do construction loan. They had to be able to build it within the year.
All right. So now let's talk a little bit about how veterans, if they have disability, that they can maximize that disability income to help them with their real estate dreams.
Uh, Now, one thing I can tell you: always research whatever state you're in. Research VA benefits. You look at VA disability benefits and VA benefits, and it's going to tell you everything that you're entitled. I think here in Texas, the amount of VA loan, I want to say, and don't quote me on this because I got to go back and look at it. I think it's $1 million that you can actually buy. That's with land and everything. So what I did was I said, okay, so with my VA disability, how does that assist me? So with 100%, you don't have to pay taxes. So all you're left with is your mortgage and your insurance. Now, it does have certain benefits if you're not at 100. So if you're at 70, you still get a percentage of your taxes paid. At 80%, you get a percentage, but that 100% is what you want to try to get. So once you get that 100%, all you're doing is, and so now what we're dealing with right now, I have a lot of my neighbors. Hey, did your taxes go up? I just tell them no, it didn't, and I'm not lying because it didn't go up because I'm not paying taxes. But that gives you an extra $1,000 in your pocket every year.
Mm, look at that. Who can't use another $1,000 in their pocket? Okay.
Well, and that all depends on the house because my house I bought was, and I'm gonna say this, I bought the house for a certain amount, and the equity that actually accrued in the house before I even moved in was 300,000. So what I bought it for and what it accrued to, and even now it's up to I got about 400,000 equity within this house. But I built most of it before I even moved in.
And Cynthia wanted that house because I've also met some people who said when they that amount of equity, they was like, you know what? On second thoughts, I'm gonna just sell the house.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Well, because when you sell it, because of the housing market, you're not going to be able to buy this amount of house for the same price. That house that you need, that what I have, you're going to actually have to pay a whole lot more
A whole
for it.
lot more. Yep.
Yeah.
And right now, with everything that's going on in the economy, it's no telling because
Hmm.
84% of our lumber comes from Canada.
Hmm.
So we're going to see in the next couple of weeks, we'll see the impact of goods. So the house, even today, right now, the house that you build today is going to cost you more tomorrow. So
Yes.
today's price is not yesterday's price. Um, so that's something for people to consider as things are fluctuating and we got a lot going on. This is actually still a really good time to buy and invest in real estate.
So I
Um,
tell a lot. So I tell a lot of veterans also out there, and this is what I want y'all to understand. When I got out of the military, I was not the same person that went in. Okay, none of us are. Whether you have knee problems, whatever, and some people don't want to go get those benefits for whatever reason. But I'm telling you, you earn those benefits, and those benefits is going to help you in the long run. So if you're not at 100%, you need to go back and read a lot of your VA stuff in order to get there, because sometimes, like even with my neck problems, I can only turn my neck so far. Now later on, is that going to cause arthritis? Yes, it is. So I'll go back and get, you know uh compensated for the extra damage that they did until I get to that 100%, because that 100% is the difference maker, because that's a difference. Think about this: from 90 to 100% is a difference of about $2,300. Just think about that.
wow. Yeah, that's substantial. That is
Hmm.
substantial. What tips would you give veterans to boost their credit before buying?
First of all, you have to understand credit. I bought this book first to help me understand credit, because even when I was in the military, I know that my credit score was good, but I didn't know that I could actually make it excellent. I felt like 800 was not attainable. And even now, the highest I've gotten is 785. But the thing is, look at your credit score. They have what they call annualcreditreport.com, free. You get all three of them for free. So you get those, and the first thing you do is change your address. Make sure all your addresses are good, the phone numbers and everything are good. And then you want to, the credit utilization is actually the biggest portion of your credit. Some people will tell you get it down to 30%. Now, when I was talking to one of the banking guys, he said, well, get it down to 10 and your credit is going to go up even a substantial amount. But he said, but if you get it down to 3, watch how high it jumps up. So before I bought my house, I got everything down to 3%. And I had credit cards that, in order to keep it, keep showing, because people don't actually look at your credit card and say, hey, you didn't charge 15,000, so we're not going to give you a higher credit score. They don't care the amount that you're paying. Even if you have $3 on there and you pay that $3 off, that's what they're tracking, is can you pay something back? They don't care about the amount that you pay back. So sometimes I'll put a drink and a bag of chips on my credit card and then pay it off just to see if what he was saying was true. And it was. Sometimes making two payments. If you make a payment and then make a payment like 2 weeks later, or the first and the 15th, that actually helps because you're actually breaking down that principal on that loan to actually increase your credit score. So I always check that, because some people don't even have credit cards. And I said, hey, that's the biggest part of your credit score, is a credit card. And
Yes.
so sometimes you can get a credit card that's actually secured through the bank, and that
Hmm.
actually counts. Some banks allow you to actually, well, you put $300 in and they make it look like you're borrowing it, and you pay that back, and that actually gives you that credit card payment as well. So always check your credit score and look at the percentage. But the biggest percentage is that utilization. That's the biggest part that you need to kind of look at. And paying on time is another big part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, you can pay people to repair your credit, but there are so many free resources. You really
Hmm.
don't have to pay anyone. I mean, I understand if you don't have time and you have the funds, then go for it. But you really can do it yourself. There's a bunch of resources. You guys can definitely shoot me a message. I'll be happy to shoot you a resource that take you step by step, the letters that you need, and you can send that stuff off yourself. So definitely encourage you, but that is absolutely the first step with using your via
Hmm.
benefits credit. Right, because
Hmm.
and that's what any bank, because you're asking a bank, you have to show that you're financially worthy and you're stable, and they want to of course get paid.
Hey,
So
I got one more thing to say. And for
okay.
people who went to college and had student loans, once you get to that 100%, all your loans are forgiven.
Oh
So I
wow.
went from having 100 and some thousand dollars in loan because I got two masters, a doctorate, and a bachelor's, to zero. Because when I got that 100%, they forgive all your loans. You send
Wow.
those in as a veteran and they forgive all of them, and that actually helps your credit score. And I did that about a year before I ever actually bought a house, which helps also.
See, so what we're talking about is planning, right?
Hmm.
So you don't just, I mean, you can't just wake up in the morning and say, I want to buy a house today. And if you've got, your credit scores right and everything, absolutely, you can. But if it's not, it's going to take some planning, right? So you're like, I want to buy a house, and what do I need to do to make this happen? And then
Hmm.
you stepwise check mark everything that you need to do, and once you hit your list, then you're ready. Right. So, what are, because we're getting to the end here, and I want you to give these active duty service members and these veterans that are on the line, give them your top 3 tips for using their VA loan wisely, or what should they avoid, um, before we get out of here.
One of the things that I did was I hired my own person to do my appraisals, because the appraisals through the company that was building my home, the builders, they're going to use the people that they know. So I went and found my own person to actually do my appraisals, and they actually caught some
Inspection.
things.
She's talking about
Inspections.
the inspection, guys.
I'm sorry.
Inspection.
Yeah, inspection.
Mhm.
They found some things doing that inspection that I would have never caught. I paid an extra $20,000 to move my island back to give me more room. They hadn't done that, so the people who did the inspection caught that.
What?
They
Twenty
had,
thousand
yes,
dollars?
yes, to move the whole, because I had to move it 6 feet, because the piping and everything is going to be a little bit different once you do that.
Yes.
It's going to be more pipes and stuff, and when you do that. So then they had a window in the bathroom that was a tempered glass. That window was faulty. They caught that I didn't have a vent in the master bedroom. So doing those inspections, me paying out of my pocket, and not only when I paid them for it, not only did they do the inspection when they did the framework, they did the inspection after the house was done, and then they came back right before your warranty is up and did another inspection to make sure everything else was done.
Wow.
So that was actually worth it. And so my neighbors were saying, "How did you know to do that?" I had met a friend who did it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. That's actually worth the money. And so therefore they caught a lot of things that would have cost me a whole lot of money later on. So one, do that. Two, always research your states that you're going to. So you'll know what your options are and your benefits are as far as when you're getting ready to buy a house. So you actually know what to look for. And then three, be patient. Be very patient with your because to be honest with you, I was very patient. I turned down a lot of houses and a lot of land, buying a lot of land, waiting on this one because something just didn't seem right. So I just waited until I had all my stuff. Everything was my credit score was where I wanted it to be. My student loans were forgiven. I had my 100%.
Mm.
I waited until all that stuff was done, and then I end up finding this actually clear a lot of that stuff up, and you just have to be patient with it.
Facts.
And then if you're active duty, pay off all your bills before you get out. If you have the ability to do that, pay off everything before you get out because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier.
All right. That's it, guys. Do we have any questions? Okay, I see some people hanging around with us in here. Do we have any questions? Because to me that was clear. Okay. So let's make sure. I don't see any questions popping up. Yeah. Cynthia, I want to thank you because this right here, the amount of nuggets that were dropped for free. Okay.
Mhm.
I hope you guys took something from this. If you're not a veteran and you know somebody who's a veteran, share this information with them.
Mhm.
Okay. We have so many veterans right now that are homeless. We have veterans that are in apartments renting. Why? Why? When you have resources, especially if you have a job, like you're working and you have income, get you a house. Get you a house. Do what you need to do. Get your credit right if that's what's the stumbling block. But stop with the excuses. It's just time. You just got to make things happen. Okay. That's what season we're in. It's
My
make things
picture went
happen
out, but
season. Okay.
can
Now
you
I
hear
can
me,
see you.
Io?
Yeah, I can hear
Now,
you
one of
now.
the things also with your credit report, I'll give y'all this little tidbit also. If you know somebody who has good credit score, tell them to sign you on as
Oh, you breaking up.
that's going to actually help you.
Yes.
Okay. So make sure you can.
And Cynthia, you're breaking up. But what she said was, guys, that was the important tip. You're struggling, you know somebody who has good credit. They can put you on one of their credit lines. And the thing is, they don't have to give you a card, okay? Because people be like,
Mhm.
you don't have to give me a
Mhm.
card. All you got to do is put my name on there. So as you paying your thing every month, like how a good, great credit responsible person,
Mhm.
they're paying every month, it helps boost your score. So it's a win-win. They don't have to give you a card, so you don't have to have access to it. They're just simply attaching you to that credit card or that line of credit. So that's a great tip, and that's a great easy way to boost your credit quickly. Okay, quickly. So I see that there we don't have any questions in the chat. You guys will have to catch this on a replay. If there's questions, you guys just shoot them to me. I'm here to answer them for you. Cynthia, thank you again so much for tuning in. We're probably going to have you back because I'm sure I'm going to get some questions from this.
Okay.
Because there's going to be a bunch of people on the replay watching this, and we're going to get more questions. So I'm probably going to have you back. It might be on a different platform. We'll see.
Okay.
But either way, I really appreciate you guys. And thank you all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to download my VA home buying guide, the loan, help you through the process, take you step by step of everything that we discussed today. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And I'll see you on the next one.